Good afternoon. A little boot, say grace. A goblin. What's up, hillbilly? A copycat. Yeah, it's been a beautiful day here in North Texas. Hey, Lisa. Good to see all of you. Hey, Lee. Good to see you. Seeing a sunset. Glad to see y'all show up today. Hopefully you've had a great Sunday afternoon, able to relax and enjoy it. It's been beautiful here in my neck of the woods. Got quite a few things done, and then have to go out and come back and watch all the war coverage. Whew. Yikes, hillbilly, that's tough. Yeah, got up to about 65 here, I think, today. Yeah, 65 right now. Yeah, red flag fire warnings out west. Wind's always blowing out there. Whole western, pretty much northwestern quadrant of the state, including the Panhandle, most of Oklahoma, southern Kansas, and eastern New Mexico is all under a fire watch, red flag warning. Yep. But yeah, it was spring break this past week here. So in Texas, everybody does it at different times, it seems like. So everything's sort of back to normal tomorrow for the kiddos anyway. But what a crazy time we're witnessing across the world. And I've seen a lot of good videos lately. Cold War Preppers one, he's had a lot of good videos out there talking about a lot of different things, food related. And y'all need to definitely check out Cold War Preppers channel if you haven't. And he's really a good source for accurate, credible information when it comes to all the nuke speak and things like that in the Cold War era. He's really knowledgeable about all that. So check out his channel if you haven't yet. So what I really wanted to talk about today was the fact of, obviously we've got a war occurring in front of our eyes. A Scout, good to see you. A war taking place in front of our eyes. And I know there's a lot of different theories on why that war is happening and this and that. But one of the things I wanted to ensure that everybody is doing, from whatever side of the political spectrum you fall on, I hope that everybody is watching and learning about, what to do, what not to do during SHTF, because believe me, these people are experiencing it. There's evacuations taking place. There's people trapped that did not evacuate or would not evacuate, or they couldn't get to. There's no electricity. There's no water. There's no heat. And a lot of the eastern portions of the country. And, I think it's probably likely to be a complete blackout by the time Russia's done with their movements, if you will. And they're already starting to take out a lot of these supply depots that were, transition points or whatever from with weapons and the like coming from NATO-friendly sources into Ukraine. So that military base that they hit in Western Ukraine looks like that thing might have been a staging ground for military equipment, weaponry, etc., making its way into Ukraine. I saw a lot of secondary explosions during some of that video. That to me look like incendiary stuff, like weapons being blown up, etc. Other people probably are a lot more skilled at determining that than me, but to me it looked like a to me it looked like secondary, tertiary explosions, which would indicate weapons exploding to me, TNT, things like that. Hey, little boots. Hey, Simon. Hey, Shift. Good to see y'all. Hey, choices, places, and people. Good to see y'all. Appreciate y'all showing up. But anyway, the point of the live today is to make sure that people are learning by what they're seeing. You can always learn a lot from other people's mistakes, other people's situations, other people's chaos. When you watch these people, have to flee on foot, older people, handicapped people, pregnant women, when you see them having to be, assisted to the border. Yes, Simon. But you see you see the crisis taking place before your eyes, and you need to think about these things because, like I said, you can use other people's situations and chaos and decisions or lack of good judgment, if you will. You can, use that to your benefit. It's just like training. So when you see an SHTF event take place, such as this, ask yourself some questions. What mistakes did they make? I'm talking about the people, right? The innocent victims, if you will, the Ukrainian civilians primarily. What mistakes did they make? I'm not saying it's their fault for the war at all. Don't misconstrue what I'm saying. But once the war is underway, you've got decisions to make that are life and death. So, what mistakes did they make? What mistakes did you see them make, or did you think that they made? What would you have done differently? What things would you have done differently were you in their position? I think, cognitively, we've got to rehearse these things in our head because, when SHTF hits, you don't really have time to come up with a plan. I mean, you sort of have to have several in your back pocket depending on the circumstances, right? So think of what you could do differently or what you would do differently if that crisis were yours. No, I didn't see that TH2. Hey Tim, good to see you. I mean, you've got people that are walking out of apartment buildings with a handbag. That's it, or a suitcase on wheels. And I think that it's important to rehearse what they went through in your head and say, okay, based on where I live, the avenues of approach, the highways, the ability to get out, how would I have reacted to this, and how could I have made things different if this were me? So I just implore people to use other people's suffering to your benefit. So maybe you don't have to suffer as much. Hey, Danny, good to see you. You got that right, Sunset. Evil doesn't care. And there's plenty of that happening. And so you've got the other bullies trying to stick their finger in the eye of America. You got the Iranians that are launching their scuds into areas of Iraq that have Americans, and supposedly this Israeli spy camp, I think they called it. Um, but lots of things happening, and I think you can expect it to ratchet up. Not necessarily day by day, but hour by hour. And I'm telling you, all it takes is one air pilot error or some type of calculation error on the behalf of a data entry person that's launching one of these devices. It doesn't take much to have a mistake or an accident. Um, I think right now, if I were, not again, I'm not really a doom and gloom type person, but I'm also not a conspiracy theorist. But what I am is a realist, and I think that one of the things that Cold War Prepper put out last week was a nuke kit for your car. I think having some PPE on hand for dealing with nuclear blasts and fallout is probably a prudent thing that you should probably do right now. Um, I took his advice and sort of repurposed some kits that I had in other spots to accommodate vehicles, and I think that was a really good idea. And it was a level-headed plan because the stuff's available right now. I mean, you can go to, at least in my area, you can go to Lowe's or Home Depot, and there's freaking N95 masks as far as you can see right now. You can buy a box of 100 or a box of 80, I think, for 25, $30 at Home Depot right now. And they're not the greatest. They're not the ones with the inserts, but I did buy some of those just to have, because. Of course, Tim. So it's this thing is going to ratchet up, hour to hour. And I just saw a report that Putin had asked China for military personnel help in Ukraine. So that's a U.S. intel report. I have no idea if it's accurate, but that apparently is out now. And I do think that people need to, as hard as it is to watch some of this stuff, and again, you do have to process what you're watching and check it for BS and fact check it and all that, right? Especially the TV and the stuff you see online. But I think that we really need to pay attention as hard as it is and watch some of this stuff happen because it's telegraphing certain things. And you start throwing around, bio and chem. I mean, that's a whole nother ball of wax. And that, like Simon says, that changes everything. But again, I don't think we have I think this commander in chief is going to have to really get punched in the mouth really hard to do something. I think it's, we may even have to take a hot one in here before we do anything to react. And I have a bad feeling that the man's not willing to do the things that are required, make the tough decisions that a leader's supposed to be able to make. I hear you, Scout. And the fact that this whole crap show happened with the MiGs and Poland and all this mess, and just the wimpiness of the whole group is really it's really disheartening to me. Not that I really want to say, I'm not saying we got to start slinging ICBMs back and forth, but what I'm saying is we just seem to be on the reactive side of everything. Hey Beth, good to see you. Hey Valerie. But again, these people that are evacuating Ukraine, poor people, right? I mean, it sucks, and it's just really heartbreaking to see these older people have to, leave homes that they invested in, and have probably lived in most of their lives, a lot of them. And I'll tell you something else. It's sort of off the beaten path a little bit, but most insurance policies, if you have one, basically become inactive once there's a war starting. And so, something to think about. It's not like you can have your home bombed and you're going to get compensated, if you make it through. Most most insurance policies, homeowners policies, have a clause in there about conflict, force majeure, all that stuff. Hey, CJ, good to see you. All right, little boots. But yeah, use others' disasters and you and their reaction to those disasters to help you be a better prepper and a better planner. What things worked, what things didn't work. I mean, it's not like we're talking about a third world country with no electricity grid or anything like that. I mean, this was a fully functioning nation with, public transportation and constitution, I believe, and rights and business owners and etc. It's not like it was, Panama or one of these little third world, islands that got hit. This is a major, a major nation in the world that was friendly to the West. And I don't know if a lot of people just didn't take it seriously, or maybe the slow roll of Russian equipment through to the West, maybe that gave them a sense of security where they thought they could stay. But I think the fear now is that they're probably just going to surround these big towns like Kyiv and not even let anybody out and just pound it with artillery day and night. That's what it sounds like is getting ready to happen. And they probably want every building leveled. But it's easy to do if you control the skies, which is, one of the reasons why Zelensky was begging for help in the air. But again, the theme of this live is just to, and listen to you guys and gals' opinions too. But all right, Shift. think about the things that you're watching and witnessing on TV. Think about your situation, your home, your security, your preps, and think about, how you would fare, what you would do if the situation were here in your area of the country. What if the exact same thing started happening in your area? What would you do? Pretend, what you're seeing on TV is your area. Sorry, I'm watching the news as we go here. Hey, Dr. Bob, good to see you. Or Dr. Rob, sorry. Appreciate you showing up. You would think, Cold War, you would. Sure, you can put it up, Simon. I don't care. But I'm not slowing down anything. I mean, if anything, I'm focusing on the 4 food groups that I said I was in several of my videos prior to this one. And not in any particular order, but food, fuel, freedom seeds, water. That's the 4 things that I'm really interested in. And of course, I'm grabbing some of the hard currency as well. Day to day depends on where I'm at, what I'm doing, what's available. But I'm slowly starting to play that game as well. A lot of people are completely out of the banking system. Not saying that I advocate that, but what I'm saying is I think that people need to seriously consider hedging their bets against the dollar and the talk of all this digital dollar or this and that. There's just a lot of topsy-turvy stuff right now. I would one, grab some precious metals. Ooh, nice, Timothy, sandbag. That's a good one. Really good one. Grab some precious metals, try to make good deals, know what you're doing, get some help or get some research done on it. Don't get taken to the cleaners. And then, of course, cash is king, right? People keep talking about, well, cash is a thing of the past and this and that. And well, you know what? You can go right down the road, the interstate right now, and all these truck stops offer a cash price for fuel and a card price for fuel. And there's quite a bit of difference. And if you can save 5 cents a gallon, if you're filling up a large tank, it matters. I was able to score some 38 special and some decent price on just some FMJ 9s for range work and training this weekend. But it's always good to it's great to have the self-defense stuff, but you always want to get the target and the range stuff too. Got that right, Dr. Rob. Hmm. But I'm not stopping any of it, to be quite honest with you. Now, I've also recently been the investor in Russian vodka items. Um, I did a little short the other day, probably pissed a lot of people off, but that's okay. The point is that just because something is made in Russia doesn't mean that you cut the throat of the people selling it here. And number 2, I like the stuff, so I'm not going to go out and smash all my Russian vodka because that's something I've already invested in, and there's other things that work here, people. So it's not just all Russian stuff. And the company that imports the Russian vodka that I drink is from like Florida somewhere. and they have employees and this and that. So I'm not slowing down on that. I'm actually going to invest in it, and you might want to call me a hoarder. That's okay. I guess I'm hoarding contraband. That's fine, but I'm not giving up that stuff. Exactly. But it is what it is. It's funny, the particular store that sells this stuff. They don't all not all the liquor stores sell this stuff that I drink. So I was talking to one of the stalker guys, and he goes, "Oh, we got it." He says, "It's just in the back. We can't put it on the shelf because of politics, but we sell it. You can buy it right now. You just got to come to the back with me." I'm like, "Really?" But yeah, I'm not giving up my vodka. Believe me, it will be in high demand at some point. um, but yeah, like let's see, who was it? Was it Dr. Rob that said that? Yeah, Dr. Rob. There you go. This is really good stuff right here. Really simple. Be the beneficiary of other people's errors and mistakes. In the Army, when we would do training events, if we would do like an Op 4 event where we would fight the simulated Russian army or Soviet army back then. And it was basically opposition force Op 4 of American army personnel who would learn Soviet tactics and wear Soviet style uniforms, and we wore this laser sensitive type equipment, for shots fired and shots received and stuff like that, bullets through firefights and stuff. And then we would always do what they call an AAR, after action review, after every training event, and they would talk about what you did wrong, what you did right. And it was all about training. It's all about getting better at what you do. And people were they were buying all the Ukraine vodka, and I bought some too. They have a bottle that looks like a old grease gun. It's pretty funny. The bottle's basically a mold of one of the little grease guns back in the day. So it was just a really cool little bottle to buy. But I bought one. I mean, people are just people just get wrapped up in all the drama and politics. These sheep just do what people tell them. And those 1.75 liter bottles that I buy are $36 a piece. I'm not gonna dump that stuff out. Yeah, it does. That's true, Beth. That's the one thing that bothers me too. A lot of us have lived pretty good lives. It hasn't been easy, but we've lived a pretty good life. Huh. Oh, that's because of probably Cowboy games. People can get their beer and wine before the game kicks off at noon. But yeah, we would have these after action reviews, and we would discuss what went well, what didn't go well. Was it a failure at the perimeter, or did you have too much light showing? Were you too noisy? What was it? So these are things that we would review and say, okay, well, we need to work on doing better at this. This is why you got killed. And they would incorporate, medical triage and medevacs and stuff like that, uh, to get people, to safety and treatment, etc. Yeah, Valerie. Yeah, in Texas, you can't sell liquor on Sundays, but you can buy beer and wine, but no liquor. That's right. That's funny. But it's. I'm afraid. I'm afraid that it's not going to be just a turn this thing off type of deal. Oh, what am I missing here? I have to elaborate on that a little bit. But I've been noticing. Uh, oh, I did get my locking gas caps, by the way. They're on both my vehicles now. I would highly suggest you go online and get yourself some locking gas caps for your vehicles if you don't already have a way to do that. Make them work for it. Yeah, you're right, Dr. Rob. I'm afraid you're right. And the thing is that I know I keep repeating myself, but I think it's important to be realistic when it comes to prepping and disasters and chaos and war, right? A lot of us have been through conflicts and shot at other people and been shot at, and I think that um, I think really think that it comes down to being realistic and knowing that there's going to be pain. There's going to be severe pain. Hey, Rise and Shine, good to see you. I only gave like an hour and a half notice, Rise and Shine. And there's going to be pain. There's no question. There's going to be inconvenience. That's putting it lightly. If they can get to the power grid, luckily we're through most of the winter here, but getting through the summer in Texas without electricity is pretty damn tough to do. Um, really tough. And without a window unit, at least, I mean, you're going to be in really bad shape. Let's put it like that. So we prep, at least my perspective is I prep to lessen the pain. I prep to have a better advantage over, those that don't prep. So, you know, I don't necessarily I don't necessarily buy a lot of freedom seeds because of Civil War. I grab a lot of freedom seeds because of affordability and availability down the road. And if the Charlie Victor happens, then it happens. Or Charlie Whiskey happens, it happens. But the the fact of being able to not get your hands on it at an affordable price is a problem for me. Hey, kicking it. Good to see you. Exactly, Dr. Rob. Yeah, you don't want to have to get out there with the animals to, fight for baby formula or, ranch style beans or whatever it is you like to eat. And I'm so glad I gave up tobacco years ago, because that's something I don't have to prep. But, oh, nice, Beth. Nice. I went with the 5-gallon bucket with the lid and the plunger and the stick. Yeah, it is, Simon. But yeah, I got off the tobacco years ago. So that's, I'm glad because man, that's a tough one to kick. So, let's just take it for a minute. Let's run with it. So, based on what you've seen in Ukraine from the people's perspective, what would you have done differently if you were those people um, that you see having to walk on foot down the side of the highway to get to safety? Think about it. What could you have done different to avoid that? You know, that's just one little example. But whatever your opinion is on, hey, Prep, good to see you. Yes, same for me, Prepped. Same for me. The only thing I couldn't find pretty much from the standard calibers was 357. You got that right. Oh, you're gonna see smash and grabs like you ain't never seen. Will look like the purge. Tweakers, man. Exactly. Exactly. Hey, you know what? You'd be surprised. Those that have been in the military, will tell you what a morale boost it is to have laundry and a hot shower. If you can get those two things, you got pretty good morale. Throwing a hot meal once or twice a week, you got pretty good morale. Yeah, exactly, Simon. Exactly, Simon. Exactly. Yeah, I was going to tell people, when you go to these ranges, hey, Jerry, good to see you. When you go to these ranges and shoot, or if you go out to your property and shoot or whatever, pick up your brass. You know, when you go to ranges, they always say, well, you have to shoot brass. You know why? Because the range hands pick it up and they go recycle it. That's like their tip money. That's why they make you shoot brass. They want the money. That's right, Simon. Yeah, I need to post a link to my coffee line. Nameless plug. I don't know how to do a link, but that's it. If somebody wants to post it, that'd be great. Damn right, coffee's important. Shoot. You know, and if you people don't have your little, I know a lot of people use Keurigs, you know, you can, you have to get the little pods that reuse, you know, reusable pods and, you know, just dip them in your own coffee and make coffee that way. Huh. Well, that's pretty cool, Rob. There you go. Yeah, it really sucked about poor preacher. Prep and preacher, man. Did he? It was it the Rona that got him? But yeah, that's a good one. You know, first thing, if there's ever a disaster of any kind in your area where you think water may be a problem, and it probably will be, fill your bathtub to the rim. Acorn coffee. Woo! Damn. Hey, beggars can't be choosers. Hmm. Yeah, you're gonna be having all kind of hacks coming out. Mm-hmm. I don't have a pool. I've got a hot tub, but I've also got a community pool where I can go get water from too. When we built this house, I made sure that it had two showers and a big, big like jacuzzi tub, and then I have a detached hot tub in the on the back porch. It holds like 200 gallons of water or something like that. There you go, Dr. Rob. That's a good idea. Shoot, yeah. I'll tell you something else. You know, you can go get those empty 5 gallon, you know, office cooler water cooler style bottles at Wally World for I think $8. They even come with a lid. They've got little stands for them, and you can get the little hand pumps, or electric pumps, or battery operated pumps. All right, good to see you, Lee. Come back, man, anytime. Keep prepping. I know you will. Y'all check out Cold War Prepper's channel. He's really good. very relative at this point in time. But he's got a lot of information, a lot of entertainment too. Hmm. That's pretty cool. There you go. Nice, nice. I've also got one of these hand pump, like siphon style pumps for like a creek bed or a pond or anything you want to pump water from. We waste a lot of water in this country, people, as many of you know. We waste a lot of water just down the drain. And, that's one thing, since the Depression, we really haven't had to suffer much, but other parts of the world have had to suffer quite a bit. And I think there's a lot of, nefarious bad actors out there that want us to suffer really, really bad. Mm. There you go, Simon. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. That's handy. Perfect. Perfect, Jerry. Perfect. Good job. Tell you something else, people. These little 12-volt air pumps are pretty handy too for your vehicle tires or whatever you want to air up. They're pretty handy to have if you have a slow leak and your tire is not punctured too bad where it's drivable. You can sure fill that sucker up and get somewhere safe if you have a pump like that. Yeah, hell yeah. Sure is goblin. Hmm. But it's Vlad can't turn back now because of the egg on his face. There's too much death and destruction. I think he's got no choice but to march forward and turn up the heat, if you will. So unless we stand up and punch him in the mouth, you can expect this stuff to continue. That's true, but people need to listen. If your car sits for a really long time, like weeks and months, and all you're doing is going out there and starting it, you're only putting a little bit of charge back in that battery. You need to physically put strain on that motor and go drive around the block a little bit and get that alternator to work. That's how you really recharge a battery, based on what I've been told. I'm not a mechanic. I just know a little bit about basic vehicle maintenance. But you got to put some strain on that, so the horsepower through that alternator so it can charge the battery up right. So don't forget to get out there and drive it around a little bit. I've got an extra pickup that just sort of sits most of the time, but it's an old reliable truck, and I keep it, I call it keeping it wet. I get out there and drive it every couple of weeks at least, even if it's just to go to the store and back and fill it up and or whatever. But I keep it moving and operating. Exactly, Simon. You got that right, Scout. There you go. Exactly, kicking it. Don't forget to get out there and grab an extra serpentine belt for your vehicle if you don't have one. Putting together a little binder. Myself a little SHTF binder. So we're going to be, so I just sort of putting it together, and I have to give credit where credit is due. Simon Templar sent me quite a few of these things in here, but some of this stuff I just downloaded, and so I'll get it right one of these days. First aid, just different stuff like this. I'm not a medic, but it's all going in this one binder. How about water? Various topics of reading. Nuclear and EMP. Simon gave me these. Downloads to them anyway. Link. But yeah, I mean, it's just a little binder, but I'm filling it in, and it's gonna go into my stockpile. It's almost like potatoes gonna make us take a nuke. I think it's gonna take a nuke to get us involved from a commander-in-chief standpoint. Yeah, Simon, definitely. Yeah, for sure. Exactly. Need water buckets? Yeah, you're right, Rob. There might be. They're probably trying. I mean, we know for damn sure they're running fentanyl through here like a national pastime. But it's like we're not going to do anything until we get punched in the mouth and start glowing. You remember, all the big wigs got their little mountain bunkers they can go to and hide out. I mean, I've got a source for that too. If people start moving in to that mountain up there, believe me, I will be broadcasting. I'm not going to leave people hanging. Yeah, I'm almost ready for Israel to just pull the trigger and do what they got to do to Iran. I'm tired of this crap. They don't know anything but brute force, and that's what we need to give them. I'm tired of it. Yeah, I sure did, Valerie. Okay. So are you referring to water buckets, like rainwater buckets? I mean, it's probably, people talk about acid rain and all this stuff. I don't know. I mean, if I was just going to wash clothes with it, I'd probably, feel okay about it. I might put a few drops of bleach in it just to be sure. You know, hey Kim, good to see you. Oh, just talking about world going to hell in a handbasket and how to prepare for it. Hmm. Yeah, I'm always wondering if that would work if you have to bridge the gap of the doors, the joints. I've got a little ranchette out in West Texas, and we have shipping containers out there that we've converted to cabins, and I've often wondered the same thing, if they will suffice for a Faraday cage. And I mean, there's mixed opinions on it. I'm telling you, people, you need to prep to lessen the pain, and you need to try to prep to limit your dependency on the United States government. And just remember, when you've got SHTF, you've got no laws. The only law you got is God's law. Okay, well, that's good to know, Dr. Rob. It's good to know. But prep to lessen the pain, and prep to be independent of the United States government. That's right, Simon. That's right. There's a lot of talk about that, hillbilly. There's a lot of talk about that. It's a whole lot of talk about that. And, I used to be one of these people that I always kept a little something on the side, but I'm really coming around to the fact that there's something nefarious going on with this banking system. And the fact that the U.S. Congress gave a lot of authority to these banking outlets for times of emergency. Yeah, and I've never been a big purveyor of precious metals. I do have a lot of lead, but I've also recently got a little bit of the other stuff, precious stuff, the real shiny stuff. Just because I've listened to smarter people and just a way of offsetting some of the risk, if you will. But you might consider stuff like that too. I'm definitely not an expert. Mm-hmm. You got that right, brother. Yep, I remember that. And there's all these banks that are just like closed, not operating, doors locked. Be careful, Simon. They say don't in Texas don't plant anything till after spring unless you can cover it completely. I mean, don't plant anything before Easter unless you can cover it completely. We've had a lot of ruined gardens. I've got some crypto, Kim, quite a bit actually. Um, I mean, there's different opinions on that as well. I know that the less confidence people have in the dollar, the higher crypto and precious metals obviously goes. I invest myself. I have Dogecoin and I have Shiba Inu are the two that I invest in. I've got some Cardano and little things like that, but not a whole lot. But I've got a lot of Shiba, and I've got like I think I got 50,000 Dogecoin and 100 million Shiba. But I got in cheap where it didn't cost me much. It's a minimum investment for me. Hmm. Yeah, there you go, Simon. Yep, you should be good after Easter. That's true. But like my investments are just kind of spread out sporadically. It's more of just shotgun approach, if you will. Again, everybody has opinions on it, and I'm not an expert either way. You deliver. Exactly, Rob. I'm just a little late to the game. I've always had like silver coins and silver dollars and stuff like that that my grandparents would buy me. I've kept all that stuff for all these years. So that's good, to have. But I've never really been a hardcore, you know, investor of precious metals. But I'm getting there. Got to start somewhere. Well, I mean, I don't know, Scout. The thing is that when it's a bet, just like going to Vegas, right, or whatever. I got in so cheap. I think I'll give you an example. For my Dogecoin amount that I have, I think I invested a total of $600, and it's worth almost $6,000 right now. It goes up and down every day, right? So it was a minimum investment for me. Same thing with Shiba Inu, except I got it cheaper. Shiba Inu, I bought incrementally up to 100 million shares of Shiba Inu, and I think it cost me a total of $700. So yeah, it would suck. It would suck if I lost it. But To me, it was a chance I was willing to take. But there's limits too. There's limits too. So everybody has to do their own research on that. Yep, that's right. They're, apparently, China's already come up with a new world currency. There's a lot of people that share that opinion, Scout. And there's a lot of people that share that opinion. A lot of major investment people on TV are against crypto, and I get it. I get it. But I'm just like, you know what? It's a minute. It's not that big a deal to me personally. I'm gonna buy this amount and leave it, and I'll watch it from time to time and see what happens. Maybe I'll get lucky. That's sort of the way I think about crypto. I wouldn't invest in it. I wouldn't invest all my material, worth in it or anything like that. But I do I do take risk from time to time, and I figure if it works out for me, great. If not, okay, I lost $1,300. Not a big deal. I'm not rich or anything like that. I'm just saying that it was for that amount of money, it was worth the risk to become really, really wealthy. See you, Beth. Thanks for coming. You can go throw a dart and get a different opinion on crypto every day of the week. hmm I think a lot of this stuff is just luck and good timing. Honestly, I don't. Hey, Liberty, good to see you. I don't, expect to get filthy rich, honestly. But if I can make some money on it, that's great. Again, it's more of just trying to insulate myself from just having you know, one entity to invest with, which is the banking system. That's ridiculous. Get that right. Yeah, I basically heard that anything with a chip is going to be inoperable with an EMP. Is that pretty much it, Dr. Rob? Don't forget like the fishing gear and stuff too, y'all. I know that we all get in the zone, if you will. Of course, they start popping nukes. Nothing's going to be edible, pretty much. But don't forget to buy some fishing gear. They got these little collapsible fishing rods that don't take up much space that are really affordable. You can get a little kit for $20 or less most of the time. But when exactly, hillbilly, that's a good point. Yeah, I keep my stuff bagged up, double bagged in blackout bags. Uh, you know, hoping that'll do it. But people, listen, don't, those of you that aren't very accustomed to fishing or angling, if you will, um, these little neighborhood ponds that have fountains in them and the blue water and all that, make sure that you're not eating fish out of those bodies of water, please. You're going to get super sick. Those bodies of water are typically, contaminated with fertilizer and oil runoff and things like that that you just don't want, you know, to consume. So stay away from the neighborhood ponds. You want to, focus on lakes, large lakes, reservoirs, creeks, streams, same with moving water through them that you can see through for the most part. Hmm. I believe it, Dr. Rob. Electricity is definitely not my strong suit. The only thing I know about electricity is just stay the hell away from it. I'll do ceiling fan change outs and stuff like that, but I'm not going to rewire stuff. Roofing, framing, waterproofing, things like that, got you covered. Okay, you really want to be careful what you. And rise and shine. It's not a bad idea, and I don't know. Again, I've done a little bit of research on EMPs and protection devices and all this stuff. And I use those blackout bags. I think I've showed them on here before. I don't have any here right now, I don't think, but um, these little blackout bags, they're pretty handy and they're not very expensive. They're hard to get right now, but you can find them. But you can bag things up in these little EMP bags. Actually, I think I might have one. I do have one on me. I'm actually in my backpack. This is that's what I keep my satellite communicator in. Blackout bags. Again, I'm not an expert. I don't know if it's going to work or not, but they make different sizes. You can buy a package with different mix of sizes. There's a smaller size. That's my little cell phone battery. I don't know. Just do a search for blackout bags, blackout EMP proof bags, something like that. Here's somebody pulling up on the chat. But you know, to me, it's cheap enough. It's worth the investment to buy a few of them. But like all my solar kit stuff, I was able to double bag for extra protection. Correct, Liberty, blackout. One word. One word. Yeah, Dr. Rob and Cold War, y'all need to put a live together and talk about EMPs and nuke stuff. That'd be great. Y'all need to do that. I'd watch it. I completely agree. I completely agree with this statement by Red Scout. I think they've tipped their hand now. Yep, you got it, Liberty. But they're pretty hot item right now, as you can imagine. So it's taking like 2 to 3 weeks to get the stuff, but you might get lucky. Mm-hmm. That's good stuff. What about those? What about those big steel job boxes, Dr. Rob? Like those job boxes, they're big steel boxes. They sit on the concrete floor in the bed of pickup sometimes. Not the tool boxes, but the steel job boxes. I guess that would work too, huh? You got to block them out, man. I think y'all would have a really good live together, honestly. That would really, you guys would really be good together with your knowledge base. But, you know, just throwing that out there. I only like to do live topics on, you know, typically, or any video really on stuff that I feel reasonably comfortable and credible in sharing. I don't like to talk about things that, um, at least pontificate about things I'm not an expert on or know a lot about. Yeah, maybe. I've been buying these bags for years, so it's just kind of something I stick with. I'm one of those people that when I get something that works well, I just stick with it. Okay, Dr. Rob, on that particular statement, what if you were to seal the joints, the lid, if you will, because the rest of it is, or any holes, you know, there's drain holes cut in it in the bottom of it, or venting or whatever. But what if you were to line those joints with the metal ductwork tape and you know, any other voids in it? Would that work to bridge that gap? Foil tape. Okay, yeah, exactly. That's a good one. That's a good one right there. Because that's originally what my plan was to convert that into a Faraday cage. Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, that'd be going to do a show and tell on, man. That or that drum idea. That'd make a really good video. But yeah, yes, I think so, Liberty. That's the only thing I know that works that would suffice for that. Mm-hmm. Exactly. But mhm, okay, interesting. Mhm, makes sense. Makes sense. You explained that really well. People, another thing you need to be aware of if we really have an SHTF situation here, your security game is going to have to go up tremendously. If you're flying solo, you got to have a plan. Uh, you got to sleep sometime. And, you know, I think you should, Dr. Rob. I think that would be awesome. Yeah, and then by the time the damage is done, all we're just sitting in here in the dark and we don't have any. I just like I said before, man, I hope that we don't have people asleep at the switch. I know that I remember during the Cold War serving during that time and things were very tense, and we knew it was real. And we weren't asleep at the switch. We had people on top of things. But I'm not so sure that we sort of gravitated away from that line of thinking. Um, seems like to me. I could be wrong. I hope I'm wrong. I hope that people are not asleep at the switch. I hope that there's rules of engagement in place already that you know are dealing with that. I mean, that's the $1 million question. I mean, I guess if you can kill it before it hits prevailing winds and drags it across the atmosphere of the country out at sea or whatever, I'm sure that it would be somewhat defensible, but I'm not an expert in it. I know a lot about artillery, but I don't know a lot about rockets. Hmm. Yeah, the way I understand it is you want to incorporate it with the prevailing winds at the moment, so it drags it across. Uh, basically let Mother Nature do a lot of the work for you, is what I understand about that, Dr. Rob. Hmm. Exactly. That's about what I was getting ready to say, hillbilly. Yeah, that's true, but probably true, but we've let everybody steal it or had people give it to them, spies, you know? That's right. I mean, we can't, we can only do so much, you know. Again, you're prepping for, at least my idea is I'm prepping for to lessen the pain. I'm prepping to um, have a little bit better advantage than the next guy, you know. I think Russia suffered on the front end of their invasion with a severe will to fight problem amongst their troops. And I think that they rolled a bunch of conscripts in there and they were like, oh, whoa, whoa, hang on a second. What's this all about? And then now you're seeing the professionals roll in and you're seeing the Chechen street fighters roll in with some Syrian door to door guys that are accustomed to fighting that way. And I think you're getting ready to see a pretty bad. Uh, I think you're getting ready to see a lot of bloodshed on both sides, actually, but mainly to the Ukrainians in these urban areas. But it's going to be bloody, and the Ukrainians are going to get a lot of their revenge there. I don't know about this. I know that's Dr. Rob, and he's an expert on that, most likely. But I double bagged all my heavy duty electronics that I want to try to rely on after something happens. Yeah, I hope you're right, Liberty. But the seems to me like we've been focused on a lot of different areas. Hmm. I mean, that's all good, and that's great. Say we say our stuff makes it through an EMP, you still got to be able to power it and recharge it. So, you know, hopefully, hey Seeker, good to see you. Hopefully, people have thought about that stuff too. I think a wind-driven unit is probably a pretty good idea. Something maybe that's mobile, where you could get a little juice out of a mobile, windmill sort of contraption if you have one. But it's getting running to an hour and a half now, and I just wanted people to make sure that they're not all caught up and frazzled about the war in Ukraine. Yeah, it sucks, and a lot of people have died, and it's unnecessary. And and most likely a war crime on many fronts. But the thing is that be learning from their mistakes, you know, as a citizen, as a non-military person, all this stuff is learnable, you know. Use other people's suffering and bad decisions or bad judgment to your benefit so you don't try to make the same mistakes unwittingly. And it sucks that you're using other people as means to have to do different things in your life, but you know what, it's just the name of the game. Why should you suffer if they've already done the suffering? Do things different, plan things differently based on your particular situation. And maybe you need to say, well, you know what, that was part of my game plan before, but I'm probably going to make a different one now. And it's all about timing typically, right? Bugging out, my situation, bugging out is an extreme decision to make. And it's one of the last decisions I would make. It would have to be really, really serious for me to leave this fortress, if you will. There's not, there is a point in which I will do it. But, if you leave somewhere, people need to be aware of, if it's bad enough for you to abandon your property, you're probably never going to see it again. So, it's a pretty drastic decision to make. Just be sure that you're making it, number one, for the right reasons, and number two, at the right time. Just because you leave your fortress doesn't mean you're going to be able to get to where you want to go unabated. Make good, sound judgments based on historical uh, historical events and the mistakes and poor judgment of others. Don't repeat the same mistake. Yep, exactly, Dr. Rob. Empower yourself. Don't be a victim. Empower yourself. Pay attention. Um, don't panic, but pay attention. Once you change over to a proactive defensive approach, you'll probably never stop doing it. It just becomes part of your life. Be prepared to go gray, but don't be stupid. We need help. We need mags. We need experts in various fields. We need people that are credible, that can lend a good, solid, knowledgeable opinion to subjects that others may not be so astute in. Trust your gut. If it's time to evacuate, you've processed everything, it's time to evacuate, then it's probably time to evacuate. Hey, off the wall, good to see you. But it's sort of like a stew pot. You take all these ingredients and you throw them in the stew pot, and hopefully you've got a good tasting stew at the end of the day, right? I mean, there's a lot of people with opinions on here. Some are more logical than others. Some are outside the box. That's okay. I mean, we're witnessing all these things happen in front of us. We are witnessing barbarism. We are witnessing war crimes. We are witnessing humanity. We're witnessing a lot of different things that we need to process and take into consideration to when it possibly comes to our shores. And don't be afraid. Be empowered. If you don't know how to shoot a firearm, by God, go learn from somebody that does. You don't need to spend a lot of money to learn how to shoot a firearm. Okay, there's a lot of things you can do on your own: research, videos, hands-on. There's a lot of things that you can do to empower yourself to be uh, to be a survivor and not a victim. Exactly, Dr. Rob. Exactly. But again, it's getting up there in time. I just wanted to implore people to watch what's going on. Okay, process it, filter out the BS, right? And don't don't be a naysayer if you're witnessing it with your own eyes, right? Um, there is a food shortage, there is a grain shortage, right? There is going to be shortages out the wazoo coming up. Fuel going up, businesses aren't going to be able to afford to operate because nobody's going to buy their stuff at outrageous prices. And so there's a lot of happening. There's a lot of things happening, a lot of nefarious stuff. There's a lot of bad actors on all sides, including this one. And just make the best decision, weed through the BS, and don't get bogged down in hyperbole, rhetoric, or fantasy land. Continue to prep the things you need to prep, continue to train, continue to pray, continue to listen to the people that are credible on these channels and not just spreading rhetoric, hyperbole, and fear. It's important that we follow people on YouTube, in my opinion, that are credible. And they don't have to be experts, but they need to be credible. And there's a lot of people out there that are just pushing fear and pushing chaos and pushing uh, death and destruction, and it's all over. Forget about it. And you know what? I'm not going to live like that. I've invested too much of my time and too much of my capital to be prepared otherwise. So I hope that everybody is learning, like I said, from everybody out here. Again, trust your instincts, trust your gut. All right. Don't say, well, Mary said it or Judy said it, so it must be true. Well, maybe Judy heard it from somebody that's not credible. And so take a deep breath, simplify things, find your balance point, try to stay positive, and just be prepared for anything that may come your way. And the one thing I will leave you all with is that um, we are fortunate in this country to have a Second Amendment currently that allows you to protect yourself with firearms and the use of deadly force. I would say that if you are going out in public to get gas, to go wherever, I would implore you to be armed while doing so, if you can do it safely and you're trained. I would not go out anywhere without having your stuff with you. It's just the way I go. I would feel weird not doing so. And you just don't get to go buy a bunch of stuff and call yourself a prepper. I mean, you got to buy stuff. That's true. You have to have things. You have to have skills. But number one thing you got to have is a good head on your shoulders. So thank you, Scout. I appreciate that. And I think I'm starting to see the same names over and over with some newer names pop in here to the chat. So that's good. It looks like we sort of have a community that's kind of rotating around to different channels and trying to support each other. So that's good. I appreciate that. I try to bounce around as much as I can, even if I can't stay a long time, I usually try to pop in and get some information and at least show support for other channels that are doing the same thing that I am. And I'm a pretty small channel, but that's okay. I would like my channel to grow a little faster, but for some reason it doesn't get a lot of subscribers, but that's okay. I appreciate the people that I do have here. Um, the people that do follow me have been with me for a pretty good time. So I appreciate y'all doing that and staying with me. And of course, if you ever have questions, you can always email me. There's a lot of people in here that have my email. If you want to make direct contact with me, and I do communicate regularly with several of the people in here. But if you ever want to reach out to me, just let me know, and I'll definitely be able to share my contact info with you. And I guess the point is that every hour seems to be ratcheting up a little bit. Uh, Somebody's going to have to blink, and so far the only people blinking has been the U.S. government. So, well, that should tell you something. So, with that, everybody, stay with it, keep it together, keep prepping, stack it deep, and always remember, long live the Republic. Y'all take care now.